Hi, Managing Collection students. This is Cynthia, and this is your Monday message for April 4th. And lots to talk to you about today, starting with just a picture of what's going on at my house right now. I am in the process of making a t-shirt quilt for my daughter, who's a senior this spring. And these are my helpers, and I would emphasize that helper is in a very large set of quotation marks. So that's kind of some of the craziness that's going on at my house. So let's get on to business. So we're going to just take a quick look at the syllabus. This week you will be working on your professional reading, and so we're going to take a look at a couple of things that we want you to know, and we would really encourage you to kind of dig into this and look at some professional journals, not just School Library Journal, which is really great, has lots of great stuff, but really take advantage of having that Chris Library database and digging into some professional journals that maybe you haven't seen before and looking for great articles that have to do with managing collections and best practice and just finding some great information. So you're going to be looking for 2 articles, 2013 or newer, and then you'll be writing a paragraph for each of those. 4 to 5 sentences would be the minimum, and just reflecting on a key point. Include your citation and then some piece of new learning, something that you could integrate into your classroom or your library, or a question or an issue that was kind of sticking in your mind. And so that's what we want you to reflect on this week. And then next week you'll be posting a response. So this week you're just posting a reflection for your 2 articles. So on that note, I'm going to hop over here to Chris Library. And if you'll remember, Brian Moss gave us a list of what he thought were the top 3 databases for school librarians, and EBSCO was one of those. So I'm going to hop over to EBSCO and click on it. And Academic Search Complete is a great resource. I like to use that one a lot. But as I was kind of scrolling through here, I went down to the L's and I found this really great Library Literature and Information Science full text, and that looked like a really good one. So I clicked on it, and when I'm looking at a new database that I haven't really dug into before, I sometimes keep my search a little bit general, and I'm just going to type in school library this time, and I've got 60,000 results, so that's quite a few. So I'm going to slide this up and get into my 2013 date range that we're looking for. And so here's a great article on libraries and inquiry learning from Teacher Librarian, which is a really, really great professional journal. Let's see. Advocating an innovative school library design is really great, and that does have some relation to managing collections, because how you design the library really does go hand in hand with kind of the way you manage things, how you collect things, where they're displayed, your space and your storage. That's all very important. So this is a great article, and Knowledge Quest is a great journal as well. So that's, again, kind of a little overview of how you go through those databases, and I would definitely take advantage of that. I would hesitate to just Google for an article. There are some great ones out there, but we really want you to think about best practices and finding some really solid information that's put forth for our profession. So I would definitely use those databases. So then, having said that, I'm actually going to, oops, let's see, I'm gonna move, oh, there it is. I'm gonna go back to our PowerPoint from our first class, and we had this really great course framework and this chart of collection development, and just kind of go back through where we've been and kind of where we are in our course this semester. So we started really talking about the who are our students, what are their needs, how do we meet those needs, and really finding all of those little people in our buildings that need us and need information. And then we moved on to are we going to get this stuff? Where's it coming from? And remember, don't stick with just one vendor because they seem to have everything you need. Be brave, and sometimes it's a bit of a challenge to get your district to agree to look at a different vendor for something specific that you need. For example, right now I'm working on trying to get permission to purchase some Braille items from a vendor that we came across. So just be persistent and do what's best for your kids and go where you can get the best stuff. So then we went on to actually choosing things and using reviews, and Brian kind of helped us with that. Novelist was a great resource, and just going through that process of adding things to the library. And then when we did digital resources and ebooks, we really were talking about access and making sure we have lots of avenues for getting our students information and resources, and making sure we're really hitting all of the ways that we can help them in as many ways as we can. And then we also talked about deselection and weeding and lots of different thoughts about that. And this process is really ongoing, this constant evaluation of what do we have and are we getting it to students in the right way, and always looking for better and more. And so you'll notice there's no end to this process. It's a continuous cycle. It is ongoing, and it may not always exactly follow this path, but all of these components are going to be in here, and you always want that in the back of your mind. So that's kind of where we've been, kind of where we're headed. And again, just because we get to the end of the cycle, it starts over again. And so all of these things will be ongoing, part of what you do every day. So having said that, for class on the 17th, we're actually going to talk about selection policy, and that's the policy that your district generally will use, and it's often based on the ALA selection criteria. So you're going to be bringing policy with you. So I'm going to hop over here to the Fremont Public Schools website, and on the school board page, we have our board policies listed. And I think that's really great because it shows transparency to your stakeholders. It shows them really what is the foundation of your district, and what are the things that are priorities, and how do they do things, and what are their policies. So this is a really great resource, and sometimes it's hard to find, so I would suggest start looking. And our media policy is in instruction in the 600s, and I have it over here, and I have this in my Google Drive. I'm not kidding. I have the pages that pertain to the library in my Google Drive, and I can search it, pull it up whenever I need it. And I would highly suggest you do that you know where some of those pertinent policies are, and you have them where they're easily accessible. And we'll talk more about that in class. But here is your purpose, who's responsible, what is the process, and you'll notice that the criteria looks pretty familiar. So again, we're coming back to that ALA selection criteria. So this is an example of a policy, and they all should have those major components. But I would start looking for that. You're going to bring it with you to class on the 17th, and if you don't find it on your district website, go ask and get your hands on that so that you have it, because we're going to look at it and talk about it. All right, so that is 4.6, 4.7, and we're getting to the end of the semester. And just a couple other things to add. This Unlock Media Literacy will go with some of the things we're going to talk about in class on the 17th, but this is a great resource for looking for information on Creative Commons, copyright, fair use. This is a big thing. Right now is research season. It's spring, so we're doing lots of research and lots of projects, and so pictures become an issue. And so this is something you will find yourself talking a lot about is what do we do with those pictures and how do we use them and how do we use them ethically. So this is a great resource, Unlock Media Literacy, and it's pretty easy to find. And so that's pretty helpful. And then one of our friends, Christina Peters from the NDE, actually tweeted this great article resource from the Visual Communication Guy. And this is a really great article on you can use a picture if guidelines for image copyrights. And this is kind of a really cool infographic that kind of gives you some kind of a step-by-step, if you do this, if you do that, you should do this, then do that. And it makes it kind of visual and it's kind of cool and fun. So this is something you might want to check out as well. And that came from Christina Peters through Twitter. And that would be something great you could share with your staff and your students. And then finally, Tuesday night, we will have Midwest Librarian Chat, and we're actually have a friend of ours who is going to talk about the redesign of his library. So that'll be kind of a fun discussion, and his name is Stoney Evans, and so he will be sharing with us kind of his journey of moving into this fabulous space that they've worked really hard on. So I'm excited to have him visit with us. And that's Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on Twitter, and you just search the hashtag MWLIBchat. And we'll be there and jump in and we'll greet you, and it should be great. So that is it for today. Lots of things we talked about. Email us with questions, comments, and we will be talking to you soon. And as always, have a great week.